Hey y'all, welcome to the next video in my series with my new Mustang Odyssey, who I just picked up for the Mustang Classic, which is the English-only Mustang competition in Lexington, Kentucky. It will be held in September. So I just picked up this guy. I decided to name him Odyssey. He is a 7-year-old Mustang from the Triple B, Nevada herd management area.
This is not sagebrush. It surely is not. Look at him. He's like, you guys, this is not sagebrush.
I always like to observe them for a little bit in their pens and let them settle in, and it's really nice to watch them move around and see what they're like. So when I did go in his pen, all I wanted him to do at that point was just stop and look at me, so as soon as he did that, I rewarded him by backing away.
Bubble is very different from your horse's.
Yes.
That's a bigger bubble.
I could tell from watching him in the pens that he was going to be the type that wants to just kind of bury his nose in the panel and pretend I don't exist. And so I really focused at this point on getting him to engage and really rewarding him for curiosity. So every time he looked at me, and especially if he took a step in my direction, I would back up and reward him for that.
Ellen definitely got a cow horse that can do all the things. Woo! He likes that move. Lord.
He found touch the fence.
Did he?
He's found and said goodbye. He's kind. Sorry, kind. He said those ones were not my sin.
Yeah, that one, he is a little battering ram. Oh yeah, he's a fancy little mover. Pretty good for walk pictures.
So at this point I was letting him move around a little because he kept wanting to move, and I don't want my training to be constantly telling him, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. So sometimes I'm like, all right, you can do that, and then you can see if you want to keep doing that or if you want to try something different, which in this case is just stopping and looking at me. So I thought I'd film a fun little POV so you guys can kind of see what it's like being actually in there in the pen with the Mustang. This is really the only point where I feel comfortable using one arm to film, because it's not like I'm doing any halter training or anything. I'm just standing here using body language, getting him to sort of join up with me and turn in and look at me. And so here I'm cutting off his drive line, which is preventing him from going forward. And then when he starts to look at me, I take a step back and reward him. And he actually started drawing up here, which was really nice. Now that head bobbing can be a sign that the horse is thinking of charging, so that is something to definitely be careful about. However, in this case, I think he was just being a little fussy with the halter. However, I did know from the beginning that he was going to be a Mustang that's going to be a little more on the aggressive side, a little more willing to charge. And now when I use the word aggressive, I don't mean that the horse is being malicious or trying to hurt me or anything. He's just doing what he thinks he needs to do to protect himself. So if this horse ever does try to bite, strike, or kick or anything, he's just doing that out of fear. However, that is just the term that I use to describe a Mustang that has that kind of reaction where they choose to fight instead of just flee. I knew from watching this guy in the pens that he was going to be more guarded on his left side, and I knew this because he was constantly glued to Megan's horse right side. So he always had his left side up against Megan's horse, protecting him from whatever he was scared of, which was us watching him, the other horses. And so he's more of a one-sided Mustang, and he's going to be protective of that side. So I just focused on the right side for now to gain his trust. So at this point, I'm just slowly chipping away at that bubble, getting him more and more comfortable with me closer in his space. At this point, I know that I have the lead rope on him, and if I really wanted to, I could just pick it up and go for a rodeo, but I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to get his trust first before picking up the lead rope. It is raining this afternoon, allegedly. Bella's getting smaller. Oh, good boy. So like I said, while I'm mainly focusing on his right side until I get his trust a little bit more to be able to pick up the lead rope and start to work with him that way, I'll take this because this was really nice for his non-dominant side. So at this point, he was getting to be about mentally done. You can hear he is an angry snorter. He was angry snorting in the chute. And so I knew that was a sign that he was getting about mentally checked out. And so I just wanted to get something good that was little, just looking at me. And then I backed off and ended the session.
You're late in it, Ellen.
So when I came back later, I did a little more work on just getting him to face up to me and gaining a bit of trust that way. And then I tied on a longer lead rope to the end of his lead rope, and I started to work on leading. Whenever I'm journaling Mustangs, I'm trying to find the right balance where I can get things done in a compassionate way, where I'm trying not to put them over threshold. I'm trying not to make their training unnecessarily stressful. I don't want rodeos. However, I want to make their transition into domestic life as quick as it reasonably can so that I'm not prolonging this period of stress where they're not sure who I am, what I want with them, if I'm going to hurt them, if the tools that I'm using to train them with are going to hurt them, and what they're expected to do. So basically, I want to teach him as quickly as possible. I'm not a threat, and he's safe here with me. I'm going to take good care of him, and the tools that I'm using are not going to harm him. So I want him to be a domestic horse. I want him to be able to go out in a field, and I want him to have friends. I want to be able to treat him for ulcers, get his teeth done. He's 7 years old. He's never had his teeth done. I'm sure they're causing him some pain. When it's time, I need him to be able to have his hoofs trimmed. I don't want him to be like years down the line and he's still not halter broke, because I was afraid to put pressure on him and teach him to respond to that. So here he starts to have a little bit of a rodeo because the rope goes behind him and he freaks out, and that happens. And so I did spend a little while trying to flip the rope over his butt, which normally works, but the knot in the rope was weighing it down. And so whatever, that's the tools that I had available to me at the time. So in everything that I do with Mustangs and with other horses, I'm trying to be as compassionate with them as possible and try to be understanding of their perspective. He's a completely wild animal that had this rope put on him in a chute, and he doesn't understand what on earth it means. So you'll never see me go in a pen and just start pulling on them. You'll never see me try and pull them forward, because what's going to happen is they don't understand, and you're going to get into a pulling match, and it's going to be like trying to lead a stubborn donkey. And so what I do is I break it down for them. So you saw that I started kind of pulling him to the side, and that's easier because it makes more sense for him to understand the pressure on the side of his face rather than the pressure on his poll. And I can start to kind of pull him off balance a little, which gets him to cross over his forelegs. And so then he starts to understand that where the halter pulls, he's meant to follow. And you'll see throughout the course of this video, I gradually turn that into leading steps. Now here, it's where we really start having our rodeo. At this point, he is over threshold. He's upset. He doesn't understand, and that's completely understandable. He's feeling this pressure on his face, and he's reacting like a flight animal. And so unfortunately, the only thing I can do here is hang on tight until he gives, and then I can release. So I would need to teach him from the first leading session onwards. I need to teach him softness, and I can't teach him that by releasing when he starts to go over threshold. that's going to create a horse that doesn't understand pressure, he doesn't understand a lead. He bolts if he gets afraid or doesn't want to go somewhere. And that's going to create a whole host of problems that we're going to have to fix later, or his new owner would have to fix down the line. And so I never want to do that. I want to turn my Mustangs into solid citizens that understand and are happy. And so I'm teaching him that if I put even the softest amount of pressure on him, he's meant to respond, he's meant to come off the pressure, and he'll learn. And so he really started picking it up by the end of the session. But here is where we go through all of the phases of our fear reaction. So right now he's shut down because he's like, I'm out of answers. I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to stand here and freeze. And then he starts to go into more of the flight reaction. He's trying to escape. He's throwing his head up. He's trying to figure out, how do I get out of this? And so right now he thinks the answer is pulling, and he's going to learn very soon that coming off the pressure is a good response. So sometimes you can startle them out of it and get them back into the thinking mode again. At this point, he is just frustrated, and I understand. And I normally like my first leading sessions to be less eventful, but sometimes it happens this way. So at that point, he briefly got the halter in his mouth, and so I gave him some slack and tried to maneuver him around a little bit until he basically spat it out. It wasn't tightened super high in the chute, and so when he stepped on the lead rope, it would start to loosen, unfortunately. So I was trying to get to where I could tighten the halter as quickly as I could without rushing him too far. So this right here is exactly what I've been aiming for this whole time, where he comes off the pressure and he doesn't just turn his head, but he also moves his shoulders and his forelegs. This is exactly what all of this has been aiming towards. From the very first time I put pressure on the halter, I've been trying to move his shoulders to the side, and this starts to soften him up, and it's basically the building blocks to leading, and you'll see in a minute how I turn this into leading. But I was really happy with that, because this was when he started to think instead of just reacting, instead of fighting, instead of fleeing. So I gave him a big release. You can see how much slack I'm giving him in the lead rope and that I'm giving him a rest. So once a horse has that huge light bulb moment where they start to really give and soften to that pressure and start to move their shoulders over, the next thing I'll do is start zigzagging them side to side. So I'll move their shoulders left, move their shoulders right, and really get them to solidify that in their brain and understand what I'm asking of them.
It's like, you want to play?
Sizing me up.
He's like, will this work? You've got like perfect little feet.
Yeah.
Nice built little Mustang. Ooh. Alright, okay, let's do an experiment. When he goes, run just alongside him.
Ellen has a jumper pony.
Yeah.
What'd you say? I said you have a jumper pony. Although, let me tell you, those little cross rail hunters are booking it. Nice. Oh,
Two on it today. I think you need to play the lotto.
I can't fix it. I'm gonna have to take it into Tech Shack.
Go what now?
Yeah, good boy. And then there's another one that I had on Dobby that came in ripped like along the withers that I'm also gonna take into Tech Shack because my repairs won't be strong enough to hold it.
The first time they stepped towards me. Yeah.
It's always a little frightening. raining. I felt a droplet.
Good boy.
He's just so cute.
So here again is where he starts to go back into that mode of like, I'm panicked, I don't understand, I don't know what you want from me, and perhaps I'm giving him enough releases or making it clear enough for him, and I always strive to be more clear with every single Mustang that I gentle, so always stuff to work on. So I start to follow Elisa's advice and just run alongside him, and it goes against everything I've been taught, but it's really interesting to try something new, and it's really funny to see his reaction where he's like, why did you do that? That was weird.
Are we making ourselves part of the pack?
Yeah. Because then when you go, like again, think about it. You're, instead of him fighting you, you're following with him. So you're like, I'm scared too. Ah.
Amazing. Sorry, I was watching, not filming.
Oh,
Aw, yay!
everybody got first touches today. Woo! Do it.
He's like, maybe not
Now-
demon.
Now the teepees are gonna start to come.
He seems like that time.
Uh-huh. Go with them. There you go. Go with them. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There. It's kind of opposite,
Fast.
but it's funny because they start to chain really quickly.
Interesting. He was like, weird.
Why are you coming with me?
I do love that it makes me think about my adrenaline and keeping myself calm.
Go with it. Go with it. Go with it. Yep. Go.
Oh, wow.
Hi, buddy.
That's funny. He's like, oh, okay, running doesn't work.
Boom. It's funny because I figured that out with Dior because she was pretty aggressive.
Uh-huh.
And then I found, well, what happens when you stick strange horses together? What do? They run together.
He's stopping way
Guys,
faster.
you're going my food. I really like my food.
But he's starting to stop faster.
Uh-huh.
That's fun. That's an interesting training technique.
I like I said, oh, nice.
That's
Good
why I'm here. I
boy.
want my new techniques.
We have to patent the Elisa Wallace 10-step method. I even have a name. It's the Wallace Way. That felt a little personal, buddy.
A little.
It's always right here.
Huh?
I said it's always where you guys are.
Yeah. Every time.
no.
Everybody's like, hey, you guys, it's raining. It's time to go inside. Come and go inside. It's raining. I need to sleep.
Oh, there you go. That was good. Oh, good boy. Oh, good boy.
In the last few minutes that I spent with him that day, I untied
That's pretty good, Ellen.
the lead rope so that I could work on a little bit more leading, because I didn't need the full length of the lead rope anymore. So I just wanted to do, again, what I was talking about earlier, the zigzag thing, and just see if I could get some leading steps out of him. So as soon as I got some good steps out of him, I decided to end the session there. And so that was it for day 1 with Odyssey. It was a really exciting first day, and I had a lot of fun with him. I really like his brain. I like the way he thinks, and he did a really good job. So thank y'all for watching, and stay tuned for day 2. I will be vlogging his entire journey.